Life can be tough, sometimes really tough. In the quiet hours of dawn, when the world hovers between the whispers of night and the clarity of day, we often find ourselves at a crossroads between contemplation and action. In this sacred space of potential, we embark on a journey that transcends mere existence, venturing into the realm of purposeful living, guided by the ancient wisdom of Stoic philosophy. As we stand on the brink of a new day, let us take a moment to appreciate the profound privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to feel, and to love. Marcus Aurelius once penned, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." Let us embark on a journey through the tenets of Stoicism, intertwining the profound with the practical, to cultivate a life of virtue and equanimity. Seneca once wrote, "Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. You're not unlucky, but ungrateful." The Stoics would say that you are already lucky, simply by being alive, breathing and experiencing life. To label yourself as unlucky is not just a misperception, but a form of laziness, a surrender of your responsibility to act, to prepare and to win. That's why the Stoics didn't wait passively for luck to arrive. They actively cultivated it through consistent, disciplined action. This preparation, a relentless commitment to self-improvement, is what positioned them to seize fortunate moments when they arose. One of the Stoic rules says, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." The Stoics were keen on utilizing their minds for their own benefit. They took life's raw materials, the events beyond their control, and focused solely on how these could be advantageous to them. This is the true Stoic, a mind that finds strength and opportunity in every twist and turn of fate. It's time to realize that you have something in you more powerful and miraculous than the things that affect you and make you dance like a puppet. In modern times, we seem to be blindly following feelings. The ancient Stoics would absolutely despise this behavior. They believed in an inner power that must always be used, the rational mind. Reason is your most valuable asset, and you must use it to act in accordance with nature and truth, not as an animal that reacts without thought. Remember the Stoic rule: to be governed by our passions is to be a slave, to be governed by reason is to be free. When you think about how fleeting our moments are, doesn't it become clear that allowing stress to rule is nothing but a waste of our precious time? Today, consider stepping into the world of the Stoics and uncover the path toward a life unburdened by anxiety or hopelessness. Are you ready to question the patterns that make your heart race when challenges arise? The Stoics gently remind us that life does not always bend to our will, yet we have an eternal power hidden within our responses. Instead of being tossed around by frustration or despair, they teach us to greet obstacles as cherished guests, each bearing a unique lesson. Marcus Aurelius wrote of the beauty in every element of nature, capturing the power we have to find wonder even in tumultuous times. Modern Stoic thinkers, like Massimo Pigliucci, carry this torch, illuminating how we can train our minds to focus on growth rather than defeat. Picture yourself standing in a radiant field, every trouble reduced to nothing more than a passing cloud. Is it not comforting to know that by tending to our internal dialogue, we can stand firm despite the storms around us? The Stoics urge us to see each hardship as an invitation to cultivate resilience, forming a powerful shield against both stress and depression. Have you considered how much of your stress is self-created, born of a frantic chase for things beyond your control? The Stoics believe that those anxieties often stem from an illusory sense of grasping at what is not ours to command. Epictetus reminded us that there is dignity in focusing on what we can govern: our actions, our thoughts, and our intention. This shift of attention from external turbulence to internal calm acts like a soothing balm for the anxious soul. When we obsess over what others think, how events might unfold, or the unpredictable course of the world, we lose sight of our own power. Yet the Stoics beckon us to come home to ourselves, to reorient our gaze toward the one realm where we hold absolute sway. Can you sense how liberating it is to define your worth by your own principles rather than chasing after fleeting external measures? Here lies the root of serenity, an unassailable confidence that keeps stress at bay and despair from ever gaining a foothold. Have you ever paused to ask why certain setbacks unravel your peace more than they should? Seneca, the wise Stoic teacher, insisted that much of our turmoil is grounded in distorted interpretations, not in the events themselves. By challenging these mental distortions, we set ourselves on a path toward unshakable composure, even when the world seems to quake around us. Picture your mind as a calm oasis, an expanse of still water, undisturbed by the storms of outside circumstance. The Stoics show us that while we cannot shield ourselves from every hardship, we can shield our hearts from the tyranny of overblown reactions. Are you willing to accept that your perspective shapes reality, and that by refining how you perceive loss or conflict, you could extinguish the ember of anxiety? To the Stoics, despair flourishes in an environment where we forget our agency, but when we reclaim that agency, a gentle confidence arises. Each breath becomes an affirmation that within us lies the power to transform dread into determination, fear into fortitude. Do you find yourself longing for calm when your mind feels trapped in a maze of worries and what-ifs? The Stoics advise that we do not try to banish fear by brute force, but instead greet it like a messenger with something crucial to reveal. Marcus Aurelius hinted that each moment we inhabit offers us a chance to practice virtue, to remain gracious under pressure, and to cultivate unwavering clarity. Modern Stoics continue to share this perspective, emphasizing that quiet reflection each day opens our eyes to the small wonders we often neglect. When we slow down to listen, are we not more capable of seeing solutions hidden behind the noise of our own frantic thought? In that gentle pause, we realize that excitement and concern are simply two angles of the same experience, waiting for us to shape them into constructive energy. Stress dissolves the moment we recognize that we are never truly helpless, that within us lies an eternal reservoir of hope. By choosing calm deliberation over hasty panic, we light a flame that guides us out of the darkest mental corridors. Are you aware of how closely your environment can amplify or diminish your stress level? The Stoics emphasize the virtue of association, being mindful with whom and what you surround yourself. Seneca cautioned that negativity can seep into your thoughts if you allow harmful influences to linger unchallenged. A modern Stoic might remind us that we have power over the stories we consume, the people we engage, and the voices we choose to amplify in our lives. Envision filtering your world the way you would filter the air you breathe, ensuring that only what is constructive and uplifting enters your inner chamber. Are you prepared to guard your mental thresholds, letting in only what aligns with your chosen values of calm, courage, and grace? This does not mean we avoid the reality of pain or injustice. Rather, we remain aware without letting them corrupt our tranquility. By tending carefully to our surroundings, we create a nurturing space for resilience to flourish and gloom to wither. Have you considered how vital it is to reflect daily on your reasons for hope? The Stoics remind us that in forgetting our blessings, we invite dissatisfaction to poison our heart. Epictetus urged his students to recall at dawn the many marvels that sustained them, from a caring friend to a brief moment of silence amid the chaos. Modern Stoics echo this, suggesting a short journaling exercise each morning or evening as a potent remedy against creeping negativity. Think of gratitude as the sunlight that reveals the illusions of despair, dissolving the shadows of perceived inadequacy. When you note down even a handful of things you cherish, do you not feel a subtle warmth dispelling your anxiety? This mindful practice might seem small, yet its effects stack up, forming a sturdy wall against stress-induced doubt. Gratitude in the Stoic sense is neither naive nor escapist. It is the deliberate choice to honor the fortune we find in every breath, every encounter, every quiet triumph. Could it be that we often sabotage our own peace by ruminating on the future or brooding over the past? The Stoics insist that real power lies in the present moment, for that is the only realm where action is possible. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively on this, urging us to concentrate on the step right before us, unburdened by endless forecasts or regrets. Imagine your mind as a stage, and every anxious thought about tomorrow or yesterday arrives as an extra actor that clutters the performance. The Stoics invite us to focus on the single line we must deliver today, the immediate task that fosters growth or adds value. Are you willing to stand in the now and savor the gift that is your present breath? By fully immersing yourself here, you grant your spirit the grace to move forward without lugging the weight of distant anxieties. In this focused approach, despair fades like a forgotten whisper, replaced by the clarity and joy of being fully alive. Do you ever feel that the routine of daily life drowns out your sense of wonder, leaving you restless and bleak? The Stoics were not strangers to life's dull grind, yet they saw opportunity in every repetition, calling us to elevate simple tasks into deliberate acts of excellence. Seneca believed that a fulfilling day is one marked not by flamboyant achievements, but by the quiet fulfillment of duties done with care. When we see our work, however mundane, as an extension of our character, stress recedes and a gentle pride arises in its place. Can you pause to notice how pouring your heart into each small effort can transform a chore into a moment of meaning? By embracing even the ordinary with full attention, we reduce the mental friction that often births anxiety. The Stoics would remind us that our contentment does not hinge on novelty, but on the integrity we bring to every hour. When we adopt this lens, life becomes a series of mindful instances, each shining in its own subtle way, leaving no room for deep despair. Have you wondered if your instinct to compare yourself with others is fueling stress you don't deserve? The Stoics caution us against stacking our worth against someone else's measure, for that is a sure path to envy and discontent. Epictetus likened such comparisons to chaining yourself to illusions, ignoring the unique destiny carved out by your own virtues. Instead, consider how freeing it feels to walk through life charting your own course, measuring growth by your previous self rather than the achievements of another. In that freedom, negativity loses its grip and depression finds nowhere to settle in your mind. Are you ready to celebrate your personal wins, however small, instead of chasing the image of someone else's triumph? The Stoics call this the sweet fruit of self-reliance, a potent antidote to the plague of self-doubt. When we delight in our progression, acknowledging each step as valuable, the dull ache of longing transforms into the bright anticipation of continuous self-improvement. Do you notice how easily expectations can lead to disappointment or heartbreak, spawning stress that gnaws at your well-being? The Stoics acknowledge that while hope can uplift, rigid expectations about the world bowing to our desires often chain us to disappointment. Seneca suggested that by grounding our goals in virtues rather than external results, we shield ourselves from the devastation of dashed delusions. Think of your mindset as a well-tuned instrument. It resonates to the extent you release the need to control life's every turn. Is it not a relief to realize that genuine contentment comes from your character, from your unwavering commitment to becoming a better person in each moment? Expectations that revolve around money, fame, or the unpredictable opinions of others slip away like mist when we recognize that real riches lie in self-mastery. Can you see how peace follows naturally when the outcome ceases to be your idol, replaced by the steady pursuit of moral excellence? This approach ensures that your spirit remains buoyant, unsinkable by sorrow or stress. Have you ever taken a moment to consider how deeply fear of mortality affects your day-to-day emotion? The Stoics delved into this profoundly, reminding us that death is an integral part of the human experience, but it need not torment us if we live authentically. Marcus Aurelius spoke of embracing our finite nature as a call to savor the present, rather than a morbid invitation to despair. When we tune our minds to the brevity of life, we see that every breath and every heartbeat is precious beyond words. Does the horizon of our final day not become less intimidating when we focus on filling every hour with wisdom and kindness? The Stoics teach that by befriending the inevitability of life's end, we free ourselves from the dreadful pangs of dread. This acceptance doesn't breed negativity, it fosters an unshakable gratitude for each moment, removing stress that arises from illusions of unlimited time. With the specter of death placed in proper perspective, we find renewed vitality in all we do, realizing that true calm emerges when we live boldly and love unabashedly. Are you ready to challenge the idea that hard times are punishments rather than gifts in disguise? The Stoics firmly believed that adversity shapes character, forging resilience and depth in the fires of discomfort. Epictetus, who emerged from enslavement to philosophical renown, embodied how trials serve as stepping stones to greatness. By adjusting our attitude, can we not see obstacles as gentle nudges prompting growth, urging us to tap reservoirs of creativity and courage? Is there not a special sense of accomplishment when, despite the strain, we navigate difficulties with honor and come out stronger on the other side? The Stoics implore us to transform potential breakdowns into breakthroughs by redefining pain as a teacher rather than an enemy. When we look back on the storms we've weathered, we often find they revealed hidden strengths we never knew we possessed. This recognition is an antidote to stress and despair, as it reframes every challenge from a burden into a badge of perseverance. Have you considered that worry often grows when we resist what has already come to pass? The Stoics champion a kind of graceful acceptance, not of defeat, but of reality as it stands in the present. Marcus Aurelius encouraged a tender approach to one's circumstances, to approach them with an open heart and a clear mind, seeking to harmonize with the grand design. This willingness to flow with life's current, rather than fighting it at every bend, fosters a mental atmosphere free from constant tension. Could we not find more energy for positive change if we did not spend it all lamenting what cannot be undone? By releasing regret, we open ourselves to proactive solutions and constructive growth. The Stoics note that healing blossoms when we learn to say, "This is my starting point and I will craft my journey forward," rather than losing precious hours grappling with futile resentment. When regret ceases to poison our perspective, contentment blooms like a long-awaited dawn. Have you asked yourself if you're giving enough space for quietness, a sanctuary from the sensory overload of modern life? The Stoics emphasized regular intervals of silence, a time to regroup and realign the mind with its deeper purpose. Seneca believed that through measured solitude, we harness a creativity and calm that the frenzy of everyday life all too easily stifles. Imagine carving out a small moment each day, shutting out the swirl of notifications and demands to reconnect with your core values. Is there not immense relief in granting your mind that gentle pause, free from the racket of external claim? This is not an escape but a practice of refinement, polishing your thoughts to shine with clarity. The Stoics might say that true understanding takes root in these tranquil interludes, building resilience against external disruption. In this sacred quiet, stress dissolves, and the echo of depression subsides, replaced by a steady inner voice guiding you toward courage and kindness. Do you see a link between your physical state and your ability to ward off stress and despair? The Stoics were keen observers of the interplay between body and mind, noting that neglecting one invites disharmony into the other. Marcus Aurelius frequently spoke of the importance of maintaining a healthy and balanced life, promoting practices that nourish both mind and physique. A modern Stoic may suggest mindful activity, perhaps a gentle stretch at dawn or a reflective walk in the evening, to keep your energies harmonized. As you move deliberately, do you notice how tension dissolves and your emotional landscape softens into patience and clarity? The Stoics would applaud such care, seeing it not as vanity but as a moral duty to honor the temple that houses your spirit. Is it not empowering to realize that each choice, from the food you eat to the way you rest, shapes your internal stability? When you cultivate holistic well-being, you strengthen your defenses against stress and depression, forging a resolute, radiant presence in the world. Have you ever felt lost, unable to see your next steps, all the while drowning in an ocean of self-doubt? The Stoics remind us that acknowledging confusion is not a failing, but a starting line for learning. Seneca championed lifelong study, claiming that curiosity and humility pave the road to wisdom. In that sense, every question signals an opportunity, every setback a prompt to refine our approach, so that we gradually build a map towards serene living. If you pause to reflect, can you not see how the thirst for knowledge can chase away the gloom of aimlessness? Through open-minded exploration, we learn new ways to cope, adapt and flourish, turning potential defeat into a stepping stone for deeper understanding. Are you ready to greet your uncertainties as precious seeds of wisdom, rather than triggers of anxiety? The Stoics believe that the mind, ever searching and ever absorbing, naturally expands beyond the limitations that once seemed insurmountable. Have you contemplated what happens when we judge every moment by how it compares to a romanticized past? The Stoics caution that yearning for a bygone time traps us in a web of illusions, where we neglect the gifts of the present. Epictetus observed that pining for days gone by distracts from the responsibilities and joys waiting for us right now. Think of how crippling it becomes to chase shadows of memory, ignoring the real sunshine available if we but lift our eyes from nostalgia. Is it not gentler on the heart to appreciate the present possibilities, rather than clinging to regrets and resentments of what once was? The Stoics argue that by releasing stale attachments, we make room for fresh experiences to bloom, unhampered by old sorrows. In that space of openness, stress recedes, replaced by an acceptance that every season of life has its blessing. Are you willing to let yesterday rest, so that today can greet you with all its subtle miracle? Have you ever considered the joy of crafting a personal mission that lights a guiding star in your life? The Stoics were firm believers in living purposefully, convinced that clarity of intent yields a radiant sense of direction. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the significance of aligning each action with a greater principle, unveiling a deep fulfillment in daily endeavors. Think about how your spirit soars when you have a meaningful cause, one that resonates with your soul and transcends fleeting pleasures. Does not stress subside when every task, no matter how mundane, becomes part of a nobler tapestry you alone are weaving? This unity of vision fortifies you against the swirling chaos of modern life, giving your mind a solid framework to hold on to. The Stoics beckon us to discover that calling for, in the pursuit of what truly matters, depression loses its grip. With each step taken in devotion to that personal mission, the burden of aimlessness melts, replaced by a quiet confidence in who we are and why we exist. Do you realize that your daily habits either invite peace or open the door to needless worry? The Stoics assert that consistency in small actions fosters an unshakable disposition over time. Seneca wrote extensively on this, encouraging the repetition of virtuous behaviors until they become second nature. A modern Stoic would echo this counsel, remarking that no single achievement can secure lasting harmony unless we anchor it with daily practice. Imagine your day as a canvas, each of your habits a brushstroke that paints either serenity or stress. If you set aside even minutes of reflection, if you structure your schedule around mindful acts, do you not strengthen your immunity to despair? Over time, such gentle diligence accumulates into a remarkable transformation, revealing a self who no longer reacts with panic, but responds with poise. When consistency becomes your ally, you build a fortress of calm that stress cannot easily breach. Have you asked yourself how often your pursuit of material wealth blinds you to simpler joys? The Stoics taught that true fortune arises when we reduce our desires, rather than expand our possessions. Epictetus pointed out that we often anchor our worth in what we accumulate, only to discover that craving is insatiable. But can you picture the lightness of heart that emerges when we liberate ourselves from ceaseless wanting, choosing instead to appreciate what is already within reach? The Stoics challenge us to let go of the race for more, asserting that real treasure lies in contentment and moral virtue. Is it not ironic how many of us chase external glimmers, yet fail to see the luminous peace that can bloom inside when we break free from the chains of excessive desire? Stress withers and despair finds no cradle in our calm acceptance of sufficiency. By walking the Stoic path, we find that moderation offers a gentle form of wealth unmatched by any fleeting symbol of status. Are you someone who finds it challenging to forgive, holding on to grudges that corrode your peace of mind? The Stoics believed that resentment, like any toxic emotion, harms the one who carries it more than the original offender. Seneca advised practicing empathy, viewing others' flaws as echoes of our own vulnerability, so that we might release bitterness and preserve our tranquility. If you pause to consider, Can you not sense the weight of anger lifting when you truly understand another's limitation? Through forgiveness you do not absolve harmful actions, but free yourself from the chain of indignation. The Stoics teach that letting go is an act of self-compassion, a way of creating space for virtues such as kindness and serenity. Ask yourself if the person who wronged you should keep living in your thoughts, extracting a toll in the currency of your peace. In choosing to forgive, you break that cycle, leaving depression with no latch upon which to hang its dark cloak. Do you recognize how anticipation of suffering can sometimes be worse than suffering itself? The Stoics address this with the concept of premeditation malorum, advising us to calmly contemplate potential misfortunes without succumbing to paralyzing dread. Marcus Aurelius suggested that by exploring worst-case scenarios in our minds, we not only reduce their shock if they occur, but also appreciate our present blessings more acutely. Does this not diminish the power of anxiety to blindside us, replacing panic with preparedness? If we can gaze upon possible adversities and still remain composed, do we not become less prone to despair when life takes an unexpected turn? The Stoics would encourage a balanced approach, neither fixating on calamities nor ignoring them, but allowing ourselves a methodical readiness. This mental rehearsal fosters resilience, ensuring that stress doesn't paralyze our decision-making or overshadow the joys we hold in the now. In that poised stance, depression struggles to seed itself, for we become agile in both mind and spirit. Have you ever felt that your sense of self rests on the words or judgments of others? The Stoics caution that giving away this power diminishes our integrity, leaving our emotions at the mercy of fleeting opinion. Epictetus insisted that our worth must be self-derived, rooted in conscience, rather than external nods of approval. Picture a painter who continues to create, unshaken by critics, because the act of painting itself is an expression of her soul. Are you not inspired by that unwavering flame, lit from within and untouchable by external breezes? The Stoics tell us that when we stand firm in our self-awareness, the cloud of sorrow lifts, and stress fails to grip us with each passing remark. By letting your actions reflect your highest understanding rather than the fickle expectations of the crowd, you claim a sturdy seat at the table of self-possession. This unwavering stance protects you from the storms of disapproval, granting you the calm to press forward without fear. Have you stopped to notice how hurried living can sabotage your capacity for thoughtful reflection? The Stoics suggest pacing ourselves, immersing in moments, with patience and deliberation, so we do not miss the lessons woven into each breath. Marcus Aurelius highlighted the grace in slow, intentional action, giving our minds the chance to discern right from hasty. If you observe, do you not see how rushing from one task to another invites confusion and stress? When we choose to slow down, we sharpen our awareness, opening a door to insights that quick haste locks away. A modern Stoic might argue that in an age of instant gratification, mindful slowness is an act of rebellion against the tyranny of perpetual busyness. By granting yourself time to process, you insulate your heart from the shock of unexpected tribulations. This steady approach fortifies your mental fortress, leaving little room for the heavy burdens of despair. Have you reflected on how your moral compass guides your resilience in times of trial? The Stoics taught that virtue is not a lofty ornament, but the solid core of a life free from the anguish of regret. Seneca likened virtue to a foundation stone upon which we build character that withstands the fiercest storm. If you pause, can you not see that knowing you have acted ethically provides a cushion against shame or guilt, two emotions that gnaw at the roots of self-esteem? The Stoics promise that when moral clarity shines within, stress struggles to take hold, for each decision aligns with your highest values. Are you prepared to measure your days by the sincerity of your efforts, rather than fleeting pleasure? By standing firmly in virtue, we cultivate a serene confidence, immune to the illusions of external success or failure. With each ethically grounded step, depression finds fewer cracks to seep through, and peace rises like the morning sun. Have you acknowledged that life's trials, whether heartbreak or disappointment, can be catalysts for spiritual renewal? The Stoics stand firm in their assertion that these painful experiences refine our perspective, offering a deeper well of empathy from which to draw. Marcus Aurelius wrote that nature has a way of forging resilience in those who accept their lot with a willingness to learn. When you face hardship, do you see it as an opportunity to broaden your capacity for understanding and sympathy toward yourself and others? The Stoics encourage an alchemical view of adversity, transforming anguish into wisdom through thoughtful introspection. Is there not a kernel of solace in realizing that every heartbreak you endure might one day become your impetus to show kindness in someone else's storm? By engaging with our pain rather than fleeing it, we gain invaluable insight and an inner softness that mutes the pangs of despair. In the grand tapestry of Stoic lessons, sorrow is not final, but a brushstroke that highlights the vibrant possibility of growth. Are you open to the notion that lightness of spirit may stem from a thoughtful sense of humor about life's absurdities? The Stoics recognize that laughter, when rooted in compassion and humility, can dissolve tension and soothe heavy souls. Seneca noted that many situations we deem as grand catastrophes are, upon closer inspection, riddled with cosmic irony that invites amusement rather than despair. Imagine the release you feel when you allow yourself a gentle chuckle at the quirks of your own anxiety. Isn't it a relief to realize that not every setback warrants a solemn vigil, that some might actually be stepping stones disguised in comedic costumes? The Stoics celebrate this perspective, explaining that humor unlocks a realm of perspective unattainable by grim seriousness. In that laughter, stress finds no foothold, and sadness melts into a wistful smile at the enigma of human existence. By embracing this playful lens, we shield our hearts from needless heaviness, while still honoring the worth of each lesson life imparts. Have you wondered if discipline could be the missing link between fleeting motivation and lasting mental stability? The Stoics deem discipline not as an oppressive force, but as a chosen structure for cultivating true freedom from chaos. Epictetus underlined that only through steady, focused effort can we redirect our impulses and prevent emotional upheaval from steering our fate. Consider how soothing it is to follow a routine that nurtures your well-being, ensuring that each day holds a predictable rhythm of self-improvement. Do you not find a quiet joy in knowing you can rely on these practices, even when external events toss distractions your way? The Stoics propose that discipline is the scaffolding upon which we build resilient habits, forging a mind too stable to be easily rattled. If you reflect on your life, can you not see how even a small measure of consistency can spare you from the roller coaster of capricious urges? Thus, in discipline, we find both order and optimism, a sure guard against the creeping shadows of stress and despondence. Are you willing to realize that complaining only tightens the chains of misery around your spirit? The Stoics emphasize the futility of lamentation, suggesting that energy spent on complaining could be better used in constructive action. Marcus Aurelius encouraged looking to reason and ethics for solutions, instead of wallowing in discontent. Imagine how many doors remain closed because we waste time voicing our grievances, rather than turning the knob ourselves. By refusing to indulge in constant gripe, do we not redirect our focus toward improvement, giving less power to the forces that would otherwise weigh us down? The Stoic approach is not about denying pain, but about refusing to let that pain define us. Could it be that your stress and sorrow have taken root in the soil of perpetual complaint, thriving on the negativity you unwittingly feed it? In acknowledging this, we uproot the habit of whining and plant seeds of acceptance, empowerment, and forward motion. Have you realized that pacing your ambitions might actually help you achieve more, while shielding you from breakdowns of spirit? The Stoics urge us to measure our efforts prudently, ensuring that we don't crush ourselves under the boulder of unrealistic demand. Seneca illustrated that an unbalanced focus on grand pursuits often leads to mental exhaustion, overshadowing any sense of fulfillment. Visualize how much richer life becomes when you allow yourself moments of rest, intervals of celebration, and the chance to savor each milestone. Is it not sweet relief to realize that slow, steady steps can eclipse erratic leaps, driven by impatience? In the Stoic world, success is best savored one mindful stride at a time, ensuring that stress cannot gather enough momentum to trap you in its net. By harmonizing ambition with wisdom, we detach from the frantic chase and open ourselves to the quiet joys that keep depression at bay. Embrace the concept that a journey guided by moderation is a journey lit by enduring content. Could you imagine how your life would shift if you treated every moment as a teacher, every conversation as a lesson in empathy? The Stoics insisted that knowledge is not limited to formal learning, but is gleaned from interactions with all facets of existence. Epictetus believed in gleaning wisdom from everything, from nature's cyclical patterns to another person's stumbles, seeing them as mirrors reflecting universal truths. Reflect on how even a simple chat with a stranger might reveal something about patience or kindness that resonates in your heart. Do you not feel more connected and less oppressed by your own burdens when you expand your perspective to include the silent instructions of the world around you? The Stoics suggest that with such open-minded curiosity, stress dissolves in the wake of continuous enlightenment. By harnessing life's many lessons, you cultivate a sense of awe that keeps depression's murmur at a distance. In each new realization, you discover the blueprint for refined living, a shield against the numbing routines that lead to despair. Have you asked yourself how often overthinking magnifies problems that might otherwise remain small? The Stoics warn that ceaseless rumination can conjure anxieties from the depths of our imagination, overshadowing a simpler reality. Marcus Aurelius encouraged focusing on the essence of any challenge, resisting the temptation to entangle it in 1,000 scenarios. Can you visualize how clarity emerges when we strip away the layers of speculation, leaving only the core issue to address? The Stoics champion this form of mental minimalism, believing that by analyzing less and acting more, we rescue ourselves from becoming stuck in cycles of dread. In that direct approach, stress withers under the light of decisive effort, and depression lacks the swirling confusion it craves to flourish. Are you ready to adopt a mindset that sees obstacles plainly, free from a swirl of what-ifs and maybe later? This Stoic clarity carves a path of purposeful movement, casting aside the illusions that fuel restlessness. Might you find liberation in the thought that you can practice gratitude even when your circumstances are far from ideal? The Stoics praised gratitude as a powerful medicine, capable of transforming mundane existence into a tapestry of small wonders. Seneca taught that each day holds pockets of joy waiting to be noticed, from a moment of stillness to a shared laugh with a friend. Do you not feel your chest lighten when you take a moment to honor what you do have, rather than brooding over what you lack? Gratitude in the Stoic sense fosters a deliberate shift in mindset, guiding our focus away from hunger and toward abundance. This shift disrupts the cycle of negativity, making it ever more difficult for stress and desolation to root themselves in our minds. Are you prepared to say a gentle thanks for the intangible gifts, like a single warm smile, a spark of insight, or even the lessons adversity presents? The Stoics remind us that in cultivating thankfulness, we cultivate a garden of resilience. Have you ever paused to consider how learning to rest in moments of peace can fortify you against oncoming trouble? The Stoics advise that the periods of calm we encounter are not to be wasted, but to be harvested, storing up our mental reserves for the storms yet to come. Epictetus illustrated that contentment is not a frivolous reward, but a necessary respite that keeps the soul agile. Picture yourself cradling these serene interludes, just as a wise traveler gathers provisions before journeying onward. Do you see how this approach prepares us for life's next barrage, ensuring we meet adversity with a well-nourished spirit? The Stoics reveal that by savoring peace, we develop a reservoir of hope and stamina that wards off the threat of stress and despair. Are you willing to guard your calm, making it a priority rather than an afterthought in your day? In embracing rest as a virtue, we empower ourselves to rise stronger and more clear-sighted whenever hardship resurfaces. Will you allow yourself to trust that a balanced sense of acceptance can hold hands with determined effort? The Stoics illustrate that we can both greet life's events calmly and strive vigorously to improve them, a paradox that fosters resilience. Marcus Aurelius merged a tranquil mind with decisive action, weaving acceptance and ambition into a harmonious tapestry. Have you recognized that resisting what is only magnifies anguish, while passively resigning yourself to fate breeds stagnation? The sweet spot lies in acknowledging that some elements of life remain beyond your power, yet the methodical pursuit of what you can change remains in your hands. The Stoics insist that this thoughtful blend of serenity and resolve forms an unstoppable shield against anxiety. Is it not empowering to realize that you can hold both acceptance of the world's unfolding and a courageous drive for progress within the same breath? When anchored in this dual perspective, you stand free from the shackles of despair. Are you ready to envision a version of yourself whose mind stands tall and unyielding amidst life's shifting currents? The Stoics promise this strength, not as a grand illusion of invulnerability, but as the fruit of practiced wisdom and a steadfast heart. Epictetus paved the way, showing that even from chains of servitude, one could cultivate a freedom of spirit untouchable by external fate. When we see heartbreak, loss, or hardship as a passing phase in a life guided by reason, do they not lose some of their harsh sting? The Stoics push us to look deeper, reminding us that the essence of who we are remains intact, waiting for us to embody it fully. By walking this path, we find a steady confidence that stress cannot shake and depression can scarcely penetrate. Are you willing to stand firm in your convictions, forging a mind that neither harsh critics nor abrupt changes can conquer? Through Stoic teachings you may find that strength, stress and sorrow no longer define you, but serve merely as fleeting visitors in the radiant house of your well-tended spirit. Have you begun to appreciate that the greatest victory over stress or despair is not an outward triumph, but an inward shift of perspective? The Stoics concluded that mental clarity and moral consistency lead to a life of composure. Seneca portrayed it as a calm harbor, a refuge we can carry within ourselves at all times. Do you not sense the potential for such a harbor within you, a place nurtured by daily reflection and guided by timeless wisdom? Modern Stoic philosophers echo this sentiment, insisting that while life's chaos won't vanish, our ability to respond can bloom into serenity. This final insight ties every lesson together. The true prize is discovering the spark of hope, reason, and unwavering strength that has always been yours to claim. Are you ready to unlock that capacity and guard it fiercely, each day a fresh chance to live free from the shackles of anxiety? Embrace these teachings, let them settle in your heart, and watch as the shadows recede, unveiling a life of gentle resilience and abiding